Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah, your Christian forgiveness coach, and you're listening to or watching Forgive Everyone for Everything, Every Day, Right Away. And today I want to talk about emotions. And this is going to be the first of three. And the reason it's going to take 3 episodes, I'm going to tell you why in just a sec. But emotions, what are they? Well, here's why. Why are they important? Like, why should we pay attention to them? And how will paying attention to them help in our forgiveness practice? So, a lot of times we're obeying our emotions because we don't understand where they're coming from. And so, first, I want to offer you something that when I first heard this put in this way, it kind of blew my mind. The reason we do or don't do anything is because of a feeling, an emotion we think that it will give us. So let that sink in for just a moment. And this is why it's taken me 3 episodes to talk about this, because it's so important. The reason we do or don't do anything is because of a feeling we think it will give us. Okay? So, with that being said, emotions are pretty important. They're not something to ignore, they're not something to hide, they're not something to be ashamed of, they're not something to resist or avoid or pretend that they don't matter. They're not something to label as weak or anything of the sort. We are made in the image and likeness of God. Our Heavenly Father gave us our emotions for a reason. They are not to be ignored. Our emotions are not bad in and of themselves. I like to think of them as a signal, a sign that there may be something that we want to pay attention to. Our survival may even depend on it, or at least our brains think it does. So I think emotions are our teachers, and they are what makes us human. But how often are we paying attention to and purposely thinking about our emotions? And if you're anything like me, you grew up well into adulthood thinking emotions just happened to you and that other people or events were to blame. And it turns out that's never true. So stay with me here. I looked up a couple definitions of emotion. Google says this: an emotion is a natural, instinctive state of mind deriving from one's circumstances, mood, or relationships with others. Okay, I do not agree with this, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Webster definition said this: emotions, a conscious mental reaction subjectively experienced as a strong feeling, usually directed toward a specific object and typically accompanied by physiological and behavioral changes in the body. Okay, that's too complicated for me, so I want to simplify this for you. So try this on. Emotions are just a vibration in your body. That's it. Thoughts are in our minds, emotions or feelings are not. They occur in our body after a thought. So I'm going to lovingly disagree with Google that circumstances and other people relationships cause our emotion. External things like husbands and mother-in-laws and COVID-19 do not cause emotions inside of us. Only we can do that with what's going on in our minds and our thoughts and opinions about those things. It's the vibration in our body, and it's always the case that it comes from our thinking. So I'll prove that to you here in just a second. So remember, I'm talking about feelings as emotions, not physical feelings like pain that you would feel if you stub your toe or something. That's a physical feeling. You feel it in your body, and then it travels up to your brain and you say, ow. So emotions as feelings start in your brain and then travel as that vibration through your body. So I want to offer you simply to start describing the emotion. So if we're defining emotion as a vibration in our body, then let's say frustrated. Think of the last time you were frustrated and only concentrate on what it felt like in your body, not the reasons you were frustrated. So for me, frustration feels like tension in my shoulders and like a tightness in my jaw that kind of makes my nostrils flare. Maybe a little shortness of breath, like a tightness in my chest. That's it. That is what frustration is. Those vibrations in my body. Now, the reason that I like doing this is because it makes the emotion less scary, like gives it less control. If I feel like if it's just a vibration in my body and I can describe it, that takes away the power that that emotion may be having on me, and I can be more open to it, more accepting. Okay, so let's take COVID for example. COVID is a virus. It's something that's out there in the world, outside of our control. It exists. We can all agree on that. So let's take 10 different people and bring up COVID, and we will most likely get 10 different responses. Some are scared, some are worried, some are mad, some are curious, some are apathetic, some are indifferent, and some are fascinated. So, how can there be so many different emotions around the same thing? It's because COVID-19 is not the cause of the emotion. It's each individual person's thought about it. And that's the reason they feel the way they do. So, another simple example, standing in line for a roller coaster. Maybe you're feeling very nervous, but the guy next to you is like super excited. You're kind of apprehensive and your tummy kind of hurts, and he's like smiling and laughing, and he cannot wait to get on that ride. So, it's not the roller coaster causing those emotions, it's your thoughts about the roller coaster. And a little more difficult example to swallow, it's not what your husband or wife said or did. It's not the fact that they came home late from work and dinner got cold. It's not the fact that your husband said, like, you can't cook. It's always what you make that mean, your thoughts about it. And for those of you that listened to last week's episode about story versus fact, it was not the fact that my husband didn't check up on me after I accidentally called 911. None of those things can make us feel anything. The emotions that come from these events come from our thoughts about them. So now I know that some of you are listening right now and your brain may be kind of going haywire, like, wait a minute, I thought for sure that I was scared because COVID exists. And now you're telling me I'm scared because my thoughts about it? And yes, that is what I'm telling you. So I'm going to stop here, let that sink in, and we're going to talk more about emotions in the next episode because they have a very important part to play in forgiveness. So this week, I want you to kind of play around with this idea. It's not COVID, it's not the spouse, it's not the mother-in-law, it's not the roller coaster, or anything that they said or did that's making us feel the way that we feel. No one has the power to put a feeling inside of you. So the next time you feel your next emotion, stop and ask yourself, what is the sentence in my mind preceding that emotion? And practice just describing that emotion, what it feels like in your body. So until next time.